First Rodeo Radio, where the race begins. The homies have reached the starting gate, and they're off.
Welcome to another episode of First Rodeo Radio. Today we are joined by none other than Gavin Saylor, aka Gavzilla. What's going on, Gav?
How you doing, boys?
Pleasure having you on. We got Brian with Dewey there in the corner for those watching on YouTube. So we got the full band here to chop it up with Gav. So we're really excited to kind of hop into things here. I guess maybe we could start with, how do you and Brian, aka Big Brownie, know each other? Let's start there.
So me and Brian, we went to University of Hartford, played lacrosse up there together for 2 years. Just became good friends and family basically through that.
I think the key there is you're supposed to mumble Hartford so it sounds closer to Harvard.
Yeah. Everyone
I've
always
never
confuses
once
it,
corrected
so
anyone on that.
yeah, you can't. You just roll with the punches.
Brian, like for his senior day for lacrosse,
But
Brian's senior day of lacrosse, the athletic director literally announced that he was going to Harvard.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's
just
news
threw
to me.
the Harvard hat on.
It's unreal.
Same difference though.
So you and Brian, probably have some great Hartford stories that we'll probably save for, a non-recorded conversation. But take us through kind of what you've been up to, post Hartford days, and take us through kind of how Gavzilla was born there.
Yeah, so just starting like around college, like right before college, I started cutting hair, and that was like my in to, make a couple bucks, get some beer and stuff on the weekends. And I really enjoyed it. I was just doing it as like a hobby type of thing, get a couple bucks, and went to school with Brian for 2 years, as I mentioned, and then transferred to Temple in Philly, and that's how I ended up in Philly. So I went there for a semester, and COVID hit. And around COVID, I was only there for a semester, so during that semester, I enrolled myself into barber school, and during that time, I kind of decided like the direction I wanted to go in with it and kind of make it a full-time thing, try it out. So started barbering full time, and I've always kind of dabbled in clothing and just experimenting with different clothing and sewing and stuff like that. So during that time, I also was doing that stuff and started at a barber shop, did all that full time, left school, and kind of never looked back from it from there.
For sure. I guess what is barber school like?
Oh man, it's quite the group, quite the group of meet a lot of interesting characters. Not many people that like continue to do it like I did it. But I was very, I went to school for business marketing, so I already had that, business mind just absolutely ingrained in me. So it was easy to kind of bring that to the independent side of things, although the independent, contracting stuff is way different, and, a lot of sacrifice and just holding yourself accountable all the time. So it was a interesting transition, but it was really good for me to kind of branch off on my own.
100%. I guess, like, what sort of things did you enjoy most when you were starting to cut hair? I mean, outside of getting a free case of beer every now and then, what else drew you to that profession?
Just the creative, independent aspect of it, where I just had all the freedom in the world to do what I really wanted in my life. And, I being in, business school and stuff, you feel very limited to what you can do and where you're gonna go. So just being independent, I would say, was, and the freedom of it was just what really drew me to do it like long term.
Yeah, it's kind of like the I think it's a Kanye lyric where it's like, "Oh, you graduated, now I decided I was finished."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. College dropout, unfortunately, but
Uh,
it all worked
Hey,
out.
yeah, I mean, you're kind of in a lead company there with a lot of different college dropouts like Zuckerberg, Gates,
Yeah,
Kanye, the whole college dropout album.
yeah,
I feel like you're cutting yourself a little short too. You do more than cut hair.
yeah. I mean, that was like the start of everything. That's kind of what like launched me into being able to do everything else that I do now. So I originally was doing, photography, videography, and stuff like that as well, which just kind of meshed all the businesses together and just made it my whole personal brand.
Yeah. And I feel like I've poked through like your like the Gavzilla hair page. Like you're not just doing regular little haircuts too. Like you have a really cool eye there and you're doing something very creative and unique with that as well. So I think it's in everything you do, you kind of can see. I mean, you mentioned the creative independent side of what initially drew you to it. It seems like that creative side pushes through in everything that you kind of put your hands on.
Yeah, I think that kind of just bleeds into everything that I do, really, is, you know, doing, like you mentioned, kind of touched on, is like stuff I do with hair. I originally was doing, I do the everyday haircut like any other barber, but kind of taking that to the next level. And I do a lot of like, I guess you could call it like hair painting. And that was like just something that I found that was very niche that wasn't in Philly specifically. It was a big like LA, type of thing. So bringing that here kind of helped me also just get my name out there a lot.
For sure. And then I guess like so there's the videography, photography side of things. There's, the Gavzilla hair side of things, and then, the one of one pieces I think is kind of where, you know, we kind of like reintroduce each other to like from a business point of view in terms of like your custom pieces there. I mean, you designed the hats that we got in our head right now. So I guess take us through the initial days in terms of, setting up those pieces and kind of what was going through your brain when you decided to, go out and sell these things.
Yeah, so originally I was making a lot of clothing just for myself and, for the pure joy of it, just in my free time. Like I would go to the barber shop, have a 10 to 12-hour day at the barber shop, come home, eat real quick, and then just be on the sewing machine for the rest of the night until I fell asleep. And that was for, years, and I still do that a lot. So, just making clothing for myself at first and enjoying that process, wearing it out in public, and then kind of getting the feedback from a lot of people. And I feel like I've done that with a lot of different things, is just kind of testing the product, like, wear the hat out to the mall, say, see how many people like stop me and say, "Hey, I really like that hat." Boom, now, all right, 10 people, right? That's 10 people I should be selling those to, right? So that was kind of the whole start of it. I got a lot of attraction just being out in public with the hat on and, all my other stuff that I've made. And that kind of sparked the whole other side of like making the content behind it, because I found that, nowadays you have to put out content to get anyone to really know what you're doing in general. So doing the whole content aspect of it really like launched it to a different level.
Yeah, and I feel like the most famous thing that you do, at least in my eyes and what I've seen, is the hats with the crimpets. I guess like you probably describe that better than I can for those listening. Maybe take us through like the initial time you kind of put that together and kind of everything like that has happened with that in terms of you go on your page, you look at the posts that are pinned. I mean, you see celebrities wearing these hats. So take us through like that journey there.
Yeah, so that was one of my first designs I ever really put together, which was cool. And like I said, I made that hat years and years before I even put it out there for sale, which was cool, and just kind of, got feedback from people. see what people like, see what people don't. And it was so, it's kind of subtle, but like very flashy in a way. And I've never seen it done before. So that's where it like really caught the eye of a lot of people. And then doing the content really in a certain way that I did the content really kind of caught interest of a lot of people, whether that was, you know, good interest, bad interest, it all kind of works its way out to your favor when you're marketing. So couple people, celebrities and stuff saw videos or saw them through other people and then kind of just kept the ball rolling with that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like you go on your page, you've got like certain videos, and one's got freaking 15 million views. That's wild. The one's got 22 million views. Casual. I've actually never even looked at the view count on your videos. That's actually absurd. I guess like take us through like so like this hat here. I guess like what initially like went through your head when you like put that like first hat together? Like I know we kind of started with that, but what like how's your brain working in terms of like putting those two things together?
Yeah, like I feel like I just come from a perspective of like I wanted something different. Like I was tired of seeing the same, New York fitted. I'm wearing a New York fitted to a bar and there's three other dudes at the bar with the same exact hat on. So I'm like, all right, what can I do? That was just, it's as simple as like, what can I do to make this different and stand out, but make it tasteful and, high quality, kind of high end type of style. Um, and yeah, just testing different things out. Like I went through obviously every type of grommet that I could, whether it was the worst quality all the way up to where I'm at now. So it took a lot of like development to get to where it is now. And yeah, just lonely days in the, in the studio, just testing things out, see what works, see what doesn't.
Bro, we gotta name a horse Gav's Grommets. That would be a fire horse name.
I'm here for that. I love it.
'Cause I didn't know what they were called, so now I know what a grommet is. So add that to my little dictionary. But take us through. So like you've obviously gone like super mega viral on some of these videos. Take us through. Do you remember the first video that went viral and like what was going through your head when it was popping off?
That Philly, the Eagles hat might have been the biggest one, and it might have been like the first real viral video. And it kind of stumbled in after that, just kept going. Um, it was definitely a little overwhelming for me, like getting a notification from Instagram every 2 seconds of the day, every second of the day, honestly. So it was very different. I never really wanted to be someone that's like famous but well known, you know what I mean? So a lot of social media, is a lot of like just hate and people being weird. So it kind of helps weed out those people though, because those are going to be the loudest people all the time, unfortunately. But it brings all the right people to you regardless, right? So it kind of stumbled everything into, now the couple famous people wearing them and stuff like that. And even just kind of took it around the world.
100%. So step us through the first time like a celebrity or like, someone that's got like a crazy like A-list celebrity vibe bought one of your hats. Did they reach out to you personally for that or did they just buy one and you saw it?
Yeah. So with the famous people, it's definitely such a blessing, and it's kind of crazy to get to that point where you see famous people, you wake up in the morning and go on Instagram and some famous person's wearing your hat. A lot of it comes through just like my networking over the years in Philly. Like I've met a lot of people that know a lot of people, and they've definitely helped me get it in certain people's hands. So the first time I remember it was one of those situations where I kind of got the person the hat, through someone, and then woke up like a couple weeks later, woke up in the morning, went on Instagram, just scrolling through my feed and saw this picture of someone wearing it. So it's been really cool and such a blessing. And I feel like it really is just a testament to like how hard I've worked on this stuff over the years to get to that point. But yeah, it's so cool to see that. It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, I'm sure like part of it's a little nerve-wracking too, 'cause I'm sure like it takes a lot of time for you to make these pieces. And I'm sure you probably put a lot of thought and effort into like, all right, like I'm making one for, a gun, a machine gun Kelly, XXXY player for the Eagles. And I'm sure in the back of your brain you're like, damn, I hope they actually wear this and they'll just like, completely ignore it. So I guess kind of take us through your psychology of, as you're making this piece for somebody, what's going through your brain?
I mean, I've also gone through like the whole going out to certain places and trying to bring some famous person a hat, and I've had someone literally look at the hat and look at me and be like, "Psh," and just kind of throw it to the side, and I'm like, that's just part of it. Like, it's not for everyone. Like, not everyone likes this hat. Not everyone's gonna wear that type of hat, but it's for the person specifically that had that same situation where you go somewhere and there's three other people wearing the same hat, that whole mindset of just being like, all right, I'm kind of sick of the same thing all the time. I want something a little different. So it catches a lot of those people's eyes and brings the right people back.
Yeah, and then like to that point, I it's like give you a lot of credit for like having the balls go up to somebody, like show them something like you created with your own two hands. I think that's a skill that no matter what you're in, whether you're, you know, me and Brian trying to like launch a partnership or like you with the hats, like you have to eventually just put yourself out there. Even if you're not doing anything entrepreneurial, you're just, at the bar trying to find your wife. You gotta jump off at some point and say what's up. So you gotta like put yourself out there. So
Yeah,
I've always
it's a little more of a gut punch when when it's something that like, all right, I spent, say 2 hours making this by myself in my room with my own two hands, and they kind of look at it and like toss it to the side. But like I said, it's just part of it. And like being able to accept that and have the thick skin to, keep working on it and keep going, keep going. And then the right people find it.
I guess what when you make these hats, do you have like a backlog? And then you're like, okay, I'm waiting for someone to buy this, or does the person come first and then you make the hat off of the person?
So, at first I was kind of just making what I want to make, and if you like it, that's great. If you don't, that's also fine. The right person will find it because everything's one of one. So I can't really expect, say I got a San Francisco hat. Like Brian, you might hate San Francisco, you know, but someone else might love that hat. That might be the best hat they've ever seen. So it's just like finding the right people is really the biggest thing for everything I make.
Do you have a favorite piece that you've made so far?
Um, probably the Machine Gun Cali Charm Crown.
That one made its rounds too.
Yeah,
That's got to be a crazy feeling seeing almost a nationwide search for your hat.
yeah, it's funny because again, like one of those like situations where you like wake up and go on Instagram and I'm seeing like fan pages and stuff like post pictures and it's like wanted dead or alive with a picture of the hat I made. And it was in he actually lost it in Dublin, Ireland during a music video shoot. So it was kind of crazy.
went worldwide there for sure.
Yeah, it was funny to see. It was definitely funny to see, but they found it, so it was all good.
Do you have any other like crazy stories of like, seeing pieces in different parts of the world or, someone reaching out via something crazy DM or something?
Um I mean, DMs were pretty crazy when things were blowing up, like that one video was blowing up. That's when a lot of like NFL players and stuff like that started like rolling in. Um, but yeah, just like these people that are very highly regarded in their own industry and stuff like that coming to me for something very specific. I think that's just the coolest part is it is very specific and like at this point it's well known that that's my design, you know? So I've had a couple crazy situations like just, trying to work with certain people and it all kind of blows up in your face. But I'll give you the one story is I guess I won't name names, but one of the biggest artists in the world in the rap space, I guess you could say. I gave him a hat through someone one time and he received the hat. It was backstage. I'm asking for like, yo, did you get any pictures or videos? Like I need to see. Like he put the hat on. I know he got it and stuff and never got anything back. And weeks later, he actually he has his own brand, own line based off of who he is. And he posted these pictures and it got leaked and it was like blah 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 is dropping this hat. And it was just grommets on it, right? And I think Complex dropped the picture. And I had like hundreds of people commenting on it and tagging me. And it was just crazy. It was crazy, like the influx of people just like, yo, was that you? Like, did you do that? Isn't that your design? And it turns out like they ended up not dropping the hat. So I don't know if it was because of that specifically or it just wasn't put together very well, in my
You
opinion.
got you got me like your head like, damn, my shit just got jacked. This is bullshit. To like, then you had the army in the comments on your side. I didn't feel pretty good actually.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was kind of like a little disheartening only because it was a thing that we spoke about that was supposed to be like, hey, you're gonna send us the hats. We're gonna make those hats for you and then do it like that, almost like a collab, right? But it ended up just leaking the picture. You could tell it was made in China from some manufacturer. And I was like, dang, I just wonder if he took my hat and sent it there and was like, here's how we want to remix it and make it our own.
It flopped for good reason too. It flopped. Yeah, you'll have to tell me the name at some point. We
Oh,
you gotta air it on the internet, but you
yeah,
gotta tell me so I can stop listening to his music.
I'll have to send you the pictures so you could see too. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm sure people if people that are deep in their bag, I'm sure they can find it on Complex.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could probably look it up. Um, I don't know how hard it would be to find, but you could probably look it up and you'll find it easily.
We will at some point. We won't air it out, but it's kind of like a really like cool accomplishment in the sense of like A, your design's so cool people want to jack it, and then B, the internet you got such a like cult following from the design that people are like, hey yo, like that's Gavzilla's design there. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people like to say imitation is flattery, but it's different. I feel like when you make this shit with your own hands and it's kind of it's tough to accept, but it is cool. Like people want to do the same thing and think it's cool, but it's tough being independent designer when it's like, all right, like you're not really seeing anything from that besides like, oh, people are noticing it or, people like it, but they're not, necessarily purchasing it from you.
You can't like copyright or some protection
I
on
mean,
like a
it's so
design like
much
that, right?
money. It's so much money and so many like legal loopholes to go through, and it's it's probably not really worth doing all that. It's probably better. I always found that it's just better to get to that point where like people just see the design and know it's you rather than, all right, I have like all these legal cases I got to go through now.
Do you still get starstruck? say you wake up and you just see blank DM'd you on Instagram or someone reach out? Is there still that
I
wow
mean,
factor, or is it just another day at the office at
I
this
don't
point?
think I've ever really been like that ever in my life, being like starstruck. I mean, it is crazy and like I'm very grateful for it, but like at the end of the day, these are just normal people as well. They just are at the top of their industry, which I also maybe part of it is just me believing in myself that much that I feel like I'm getting to that point of like being at the top of the industry and all these people kind of just become the same.
Do you have like a white whale of someone you want, to design a hat for?
I mean, I would love to design hats for a company, say. That would be cool. Like a big name brand, big name company, which I've done some of that, but I would like to, one-on-one work with them.
For sure. I guess, are there any other like big goals that you have, in the, clothing space?
I would say just evolving my brand to the point where it's everything, clothing, hats, like I don't want it to be one thing like, oh, this is the hat guy, right? Which is cool, but I'll never forget someone said on one of my posts, like something about like Coco Chanel started with just hats, right? And that's kind of the evolution of it is just like start with one thing, build it up, and then continue the ball like into, the space is limitless. So it's like you could go so many different directions, but just getting it to the point where like I have that staple brand.
100%. And we're very excited to watch the journey as you continue to get there. And I think we're blessed to be part of the journey now with First Rodeo. I think Brian put it together and got you to help us out design this hat. So I guess maybe you could lead into the thought process behind designing this hat. I mean, start there on the First Rodeo journey for Gavzilla.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing was like seeing your hats and like all your products online and just knowing Brian. And I know Brian's probably not, a designer.
He's better than me.
So I'm like,
You,
hey,
you, you don't
listen,
like the script on just different color variations the
it
times?
gets the job done. But yeah, I just found like I know the value I can bring in that sense to, I believe anyone, any brand, whatever. And I just, wanted to get into something a little different too. I didn't grow up around horse racing. I've never been to a horse race, but it's just been really exciting for me to like get in this whole new space and knowing horse racing from like a fashion standpoint, it's very different in a lot of ways. Like you go to the track and you're wearing a suit and a tie and stuff like that, but it's a very old sport. So there's a lot of different things that you could do to like kind of evolve it and make it into something exciting.
Yeah, I think it's and horse racing is kind of at a cool moment in just like the social zeitgeist a little bit. I mean, you see guys like Lil Yachty now owns race horses. I think you're kind of seeing the old school, new school clash a little bit within horse racing within our circles. I think it's starting to make the push in terms of the more okay we they understand finally we need the younger audience, so they're trying to transition towards it, and the opportunity to kind of mix the old and new school with like a suit that's like custom design that like might have some flair is definitely there. And I think the biggest thing in terms of like similarities between like what you're building and First Rodeo is you kind of said it like, okay, I don't mean the guy at the bar in the same fitted as everybody else. That's kind of the same approach Brian and I have kind of taken with First Rodeo, where like if we wanted to be like every other partnership, it'd be pretty easy at this point to be like, all right, like minimum buy-ins, 10 grand, we're taking 100% markup on the horses. It's more of a closed off environment, more of an exclusive vibe where we're going the opposite way. We're very unique in a sense of like, hey, like we are lower entry to get in, and like, but we want to give people those more upscale experiences in terms of like, there's other groups that you could spend $50 to own a piece of a racehorse, but you'll never meet it unless you hit a lottery. Where we have the opposite approach. We're like, all right, like $500, get on board, like, and we're reaching out actively, like, yo, come meet your horse. Like, these are the events. We need you to come. Da 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 da. So there's definitely a good crossover in terms of like how we're in building different things, but kind of in this with the same ethos of like, hey, like, we're trying to build something different here. We're not trying to be like everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's also like what really drew me to you guys is that whole entire, the way you guys do what you're doing. Like it's a new approach to it. It's very fresh. It's refreshing for a lot of people, I'm sure. But I'm sure you guys also get the other side of it where it's like people hate it, and that's just part of, starting something new and different.
100%. We got some funny stories there. I think if we see more success, I think there'll be more haters. We got to earn some more haters, I believe. But we'll
Yeah,
we'll get there one day. But
it's
you're I'm juiced up to get you to the track. We had you for Arkansas Derby, which would have worked out perfectly because a little horse 270
I
went
know.
off and won that day. But we will get you to the track at some point.
I was disappointed. I really wanted to make it, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
100%, we will.
We're crazy.
But I guess like so far, like in terms of, being in the group chats, being in like the grouped app, like what's your take on horse racing so far from what you've learned?
I mean, I love it. It's like it's just so fresh to me, and the anticipation like up to the race, like I'm sitting there like looking at my phone, like just getting excited about it. Like I love that so much, and I grew up playing sports my whole life, so I could definitely relate to like the excitement of it, and like it brings people together, which I love. It's just it's so exciting and so new to me in so many ways, and I'm still learning a lot. But yeah, just watching the race too, and like getting my friends like involved, and I'm like sitting at a bar watching it with my friend, and we see the horse win, and we're just like yelling and running around the bar and stuff. It's just a great time, honestly. I love it.
For sure. I think there's nothing like that feeling. I mean, to the athlete point, I always say like Jason Worth won a World Series and he compared, winning at Belmont Stakes to winning the World Series. So I'm not gonna argue with him. He's a Philly guy. He won the World
Believe me.
Series in Philly. So I'm not gonna argue with that ever. I think there's that feeling's unmatched. And whether you're watching it in the bar with your friends or watching it with your family at home or at the track itself, you get a little bit of that like pregame butterfly vibes, but nothing separates the vibes when you're at the track. I mean, you literally feel like you're about to go run. And so it's kind of fun. Like you're walking down the tunnel, you feel like you're about to go run, and like you're standing and watching, but you feel like you're out there competing.
Yeah, those pictures were awesome of you guys celebrating. Those were great.
Yeah, there might have been a beer or two spilled on some people in the crowd for sure. And we definitely were the most obnoxious winners all day, which is pretty crazy when there's a race for like $1.5 million,
Yeah,
3 hours later, but the race for 125K at the biggest pop from the owners.
I know Brian was knocking them
Uh,
down that day.
hey, we would just for pretty much any race after, we'll just be standing in line and be like, "So, who did you have in the fifth race?" And it was actually we found a lot of people that bet on them too, just like by chance. So that was really cool.
That's pretty
There
cool.
But
There was this one kid in line waiting to bet for one of the other races. At this point we had some post celebration beers. Immediately after the race, we usually run on like Fridays or Thursdays and it's not very crowded. There's 74,000 people there, so we had the problem for the first time of like there's too many people around to like get a drink. So naturally, cut the line, get to the front. I go to the bartender. I was like, "How many beers can I order at once?" And the lady's like, "As many as you can hold," which is like so Arkansas. I love it. And I go, "All right, I'll take 10 Surfsides and 10 Coors Lights." She's like, "You're joking." I was like, "Lady, do I look like I'm joking? Like, I'm dead serious. Like, is that okay?" And she's like, "Yep." we got a lot of hands. And then I called everybody else over and did it. But at this point, we were like, we had probably, 3/4 of that between 12 of us. It wasn't just me and Bronny sipping those down. But we're in line, waiting to bet for the next race. Brian asked the question, "Hey, who'd you have in our race?" He didn't say our race. He said race 5. He's like, "Oh, it's horse 270. I won. It's the only bet I hit all day, but I hit big." And Brian goes, "What if I told you that's our horse?" And the guy's like, "You're bullshitting." Pull up the videos, pull up the the pictures. And I was like, "Hey, follow us on Instagram. DM me your address. I'll send you a win photo." So I said, I think he actually just got delivered like a day or two ago.
That's great. How do you guys feel when you're at the track, like the networking there?
I think that's one of the most fun parts to me. It's the most fun from like two perspectives. Like if you're there just to have a good time, people at the track on average are just there to have a good time. So like whether
Yeah.
you're there like, to dress up nice, whether you're there to gamble or just get hammered, like you'll have a good time. But like also like I'm at Horsedale's and like I'm at the bar next to Bobby Flay, like wild, next to the Jaguars owner. Like I'm just like I'm moving and shaking like with these people, which is kind of crazy. So like and that's a really, really cool part about horse racing. I feel like outside of First Rodeo, you can network, and also like inside First Rodeo, like you have people meet for the first time,
Yeah.
at the racetrack together. They both own a piece of the same horse that's running, and it's pretty cool. I mean, there's guys in our group that are older, that like own companies that like the younger guys like asking them for like jobs and like advice, da 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 da. All the way down to like we've got kids in college that are there just to like flex to the girls at the bar they own a horse.
That's what I love too about your brand is just like you're gonna get, the old man that just wants to be a part of the younger group. And then you're gonna have college kids and stuff like that that just want to have fun and everything in between too.
Yeah, and I think we do have just all types of people involved, which is cool. Just and getting back to the networking at a track, I don't think we necessarily like go out of our way to be like, oh, we have to go talk to this guy. We just kind of be ourselves, and like if you want to come up, like you're probably gonna get along with everyone.
Yeah, I feel like that's what attracts people so much though, is you guys are who you are, and that's what always is gonna bring the right people towards you.
And we've got just enough of Jersey in us that we're usually pretty loud, so it's pretty easy to find us. And we're usually doing something like kind of dumb, like in a sense of like we might be leading like a group of like 20 people into the paddock. Like one guy might have a beer and getting yelled at because you're not supposed to drink in there. Like we're usually pretty easy to spot. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, horse racing wasn't ready for the Jersey boys, huh?
No, no. We say we do things.
Yeah, going back on like the famous people and like being at the horse races and stuff, one thing I always think about is like a few years back, I think it was Jack Harlow and Drake went to Kentucky Downs and like shot a music video and stuff. I don't know why. I always think about that though. That was like years and years ago, I feel like, and that was kind of the start of like a lot of younger people like thinking it's cool, you know?
Yeah, church. So Jack Harlow's from Louisville. I lived there for 2 years. That's the home of the Kentucky Derby. And it's funny because the name of the song is Churchill Downs, which is the name of the track the Kentucky Derby's at. And we so it's in the infield. So the Derby is a very, very fun experience. It's coming up in 2 weeks, the first Saturday of May every year. You should come, Gav. We got the Airbnb on lock.
Do it.
So there's the track, there's the outside, and then at Churchill Downs, there's like levels to this shit. It's like the outside of the track, second row, third row, millionaires row. It's crazy amount of money on that side. And there's the infield. And the infield is just like a free for all party. It's got a little bit more corporate, less crazy in the last like few years. But when we were doing that, like back in those days, I think it was like probably 3 4 years ago now. Somebody had saw Jack Harlow and Drake go by in a golf cart. Or like, I'm like, no fucking way. Like I knew Jack's album had come out either before that or was about to come out because I actually am a decent Jack
I
Harlow
think he
fan.
dropped it that day, or like maybe Thursday with church because we were listening to Churchill Downs on the way to the Derby that day.
So the name of the song Social Downs, like it's a nice part of the infield that's all like, roped off for famous people, like a really nice part of the infield. So we're on the opposite side. But next thing we actually saw part of the video get filmed because like, they went on the roof at one point and like recorded the crowd reaction, which is pretty dope. And the video itself is sick. And then we're like leaving. My friends from Clemson, Nicole, Melissa were like, "Hey, we were talking to this guy that like was with Drake and Jack Harlow. Like they have some party that like they said we can go to." And I mean, they definitely didn't want all like 10 of us dudes showing up, but we all went to Jack Harlow's party after, just like
No way.
gassing our way in. He went out and like performed, not really, but he came out from what I remember, because it's open bar and they're drinking all day. So like that was a wild like how do we get here experience. And now I think a cool goal for us would be like I want Jack Carr to be part of First Rodeo. I want him and his boys to like rep it. I feel like we'll win some races at Churchill. We've already won there before, but obviously like the crowning achievements Kentucky Derby and them filming that video on Kentucky Derby Day was pretty sick.
We got to get Drake on board.
That'd be pretty epic for sure. He likes to gamble, so he's in the right stratosphere for sure.
That's right. That's right.
I guess, and we're on the like Gavzilla times First Rodeo side of things. I know you've been working on a few pieces there. Maybe you can kind of expand upon that, and kind of what your thought process is behind it.
Yeah, so I think we kind of this is very new, the whole like doing one-of-one stuff for you guys. And we kind of talked about it briefly, but we may do like a raffle on some stuff or something like that, but just kind of making pieces that if you were to go through a manufacturer would have to have like 100 pieces of these items and it'd be expensive. But yeah, making a couple, I got them all around here, but just making a couple different like sweatshirts and bags and stuff like that to mix in with the hats. Obviously, I think we plan on dropping like 50 more hats soon. So doing something less quantity and a little more special within, the design space for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a super cool experience. Everyone involved to be able to rep at the track with your stable with like a custom piece like that. It is really cool. I mean, you see some owners like on Derby Day will like have their like their jacket with like their racing stable or something about their horse. So it's kind of cool. Like someone's gonna be able to do the same thing for First Rodeo and all our horses. So we appreciate you doing that. It's a really cool experience for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great experience for me as well. Like I was saying, it's very new to me, just the whole entire horse racing community and stuff. And it's been really fun to just like dabble in it and, you know, dive into it really. But yeah, another thing I would love to get into is a little more of the race day attire. I think that would be kind of where I want to get to. Like the sweatshirts and stuff are cool, and you might just not wear that to the race. So I want to make a lot of stuff that someone's wearing to the actual race.
Yeah, I think it's the normal fit at the nicest racetrack in my opinion in Kentucky is Keeneland, and they run 2 months out of the year. They run in April and they run in October, and everyone there gets dressed to the nines, girls, guys, everything in between. Typically, it's like they're wearing a sporty coat with a shirt, and like if you're in the clubhouse, as Brian and I found out after we won, you're supposed to have a tie. So like it is like traditional, like old school, like you have to quote unquote be in coat and tie. But I think
No
there's a
blue
and
jeans,
yeah,
no
no
work
blue
boots,
jeans. Yeah,
no
no.
polo.
Brian went 0 for 4, 0 for 5 there when he tried to get in. But I think,
Ryan, move.
but I think that's like perfectly us too. Of like, we're gonna pull up in what you say we have to pull up in, but we're not gonna be in the traditional monkey suit. We're gonna have our own flair to it.
Yeah, and I think that's just a perfect space to kind of, represent your brand as that like new, little different, has a little flair to it. So that's just one of those things people are gonna see someone with something like that on and just be like, oh, that's a first rodeo racing guy.
Yeah, I think for right now it's the hats. People see the hats and definitely like you'll stop us at the track right now and they're like, hey, like, what is this first rodeo thing? I've seen like six of these hats running
Yeah.
around doing dumb shit. So it'd be cool to like think within those bounds of okay, like that's like the required attire. Brian. You know Brian's not wearing a tie. He not even own a tie.
I got
Bad
like two.
choice. Bad choice. You're never gonna wear one. So when you're forced to wear one, it'd be kind of cool to have something that's a little different there.
Yeah, and I've actually that's something I've been making a lot like recently is ties. Um you could see in my most recent post on Instagram, I have a tie on. It's a tie I made. So
That
stuff
is
like that that just has a little flair to it, but doesn't have to be like way over the top. Just, you know, you see it, you know who it is.
I feel like
100%
you
is.
could really shine on Derby Day. There's a lot of statement pieces that people wear to the track.
But it's not just Derby Day now, Brian. I mean, people 100% Derby people go freaking crazy, but like I feel like the big day at every racetrack now, like they are really encouraging the fashion side of things. Like Triple Crown, so you have Derby, Preakness, Belmont. Derby, the people that have to get the most dressed up. Preakness people still get dressed up. It's kind of more of a wacky party kind of scene. Belmont's more of like the New York City like suit and tie sort of vibe. People still get dressed up, but not as crazy. But like Arkansas Derby, like they had like a hat contest for the women. Like that was still a whole thing. They did the same thing in Virginia Derby. Like basically any single big race day, Haskell Day at Monmouth Park, Pennsylvania Derby Day at Parks, like all the big days now they kind of are leaning into that like fashion side of things because like they know it's an unlock to additional eyeballs into the sport. So like it's not just derby too, it's like people are getting dressed up for these big days 100%.
Yeah, kind of like what you were saying too. Like even, you might not be a big horse race fan, but you might just want to go somewhere and dress up and, wear your best fit. But that might draw a whole new crowd to just want to be there, you know?
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the coolest parts about horse racing too. I always say it's you are the star of your own movie at the racetrack. Whether you own a piece of a horse or like you put $2 to show on your horse. Like that's your horse for those 2 minutes. And the same thing with like getting dressed up. It's a very like big Instagram moment too with a horse in the background, the whole 9 yards. Like it's an experience where like you get to be the star of your own show. You just be hanging out at the bar, having a drink, talking to somebody next to you. It's a very interactive scene too. There's so many like different moments to like talk to somebody, introduce you to somebody. I feel like a lot of life is people standing out of their phones or like diving with their headphones in, walking down a trail, going for a run. Or I feel like at the racetrack, like you're typically unplugged. You're standing in line, waiting to go bet. So like you're naturally talking to people. It's Instagram moments. So like people like getting dressed up too, like you said. So it's really dope that way.
Do you find that a lot of like influencers are drawn to horse racing?
There's definitely been like an influx, like Griffin Johnson, who is very funny because like I had never heard of him before he got into horse racing. He's a famous TikTok guy. He's part of like one of those like houses, I guess, in the past. He was like a person that kind of like gifted a share of a horse, Sandman, who
Mm.
ended up like running Kentucky Derby last year, and he caught the bug pretty hard. Like he comes from Indiana, where like he had horses growing up, so it's kind of natural for him. But he's jumped 2 feet in, like he's always at the track now. I've talked to him a few times, super cool guy. I know like the Kentucky Derby, like will have people like all kinds sort of influencers there as kind of just a thing. But I know like there's definitely a push for racetracks too to get influencers to the track because they've got a good little product just to sell to the influencers. Like, hey, like this is a great little moment for you to capture. Like, we'll get you set up in a booth or whatever. We want you to come to the track. So honestly, it's something that like racetracks need to do more of, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the biggest marketing now is just like having a live streamer there or someone just posts a picture and it blows up. That's like I think the biggest marketing now that everyone looks for. And I actually just saw it was a post about like a European soccer player. he said something about he looks up in the crowd and kind of just sees like these influencers taking selfies. And he's like, yeah, I miss the days that it was like grandfather bringing his grandson to the place. But I feel like a good mix of both is very much needed now.
percent. It's like, man, that's how people get introduced to things nowadays is through their phone. So it kind of just goes hand in hand. And I think there's space for all that at the races.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard
and
to avoid that.
I think racing's a little behind the times when it comes to the social media side, and even like at Turfway where all these horses are running 3 months a year, I think. And the live stream's like this grainy, blocky thing. So I am excited to see horse racing starting to take the turn into the 21st century.
Do you feel like they're kind of making certain adjustments and stuff to try to do stuff like that?
I think they have to. Like it's
Yeah.
no secret that racing's kind of slowly dying before everyone's eyes, and like a death by a million cuts sort of thing. But uh yeah, some racetracks I know. Where was it? Was it Keeneland now that has the drone that we were watching?
Oh, I was
Matt,
Oaklawn,
yeah,
yeah, Oaklawn,
Oaklawn.
the
They'll
dirt
have like
bike place.
yeah, they'll have a drone kind of fly over the whole race, and you're definitely making steps. But
It's also like I feel like the track should reach out to like what's the guy Speed, the like I show Speed kind of guy, like even the guy that's like the second level to him, because it's like they're looking for like those like moments that are like kind of wacky, kind of crazy, and I guarantee you're gonna find those moments at the racetrack because there are some wild characters at the racetrack.
Oh, I'm sure. And it's like, I'm sure a lot of those guys that do those streams and stuff, like that's a perfect in for them to get great content.
yeah,
100%,
there's always something going on.
100%.
I couldn't imagine the trouble we'd be in if there was a live streamer with us at the Arkansas Derby this year.
Yeah, I mean we followed ourselves around with we had those meta glasses on. We shot some moments there.
We got to get
For
Brian a vlog camera.
we gotta get our camera crew just to follow Brian around all day, just in the bushes kind of thing, just kind of see what he gets into.
That
I'd be
yeah,
a little scared of that.
that's well, that's also a funny story when they did that at the sale, and one of our guys wasn't a big fan of the camera following us around.
He thought
He didn't know about it, but
he was in a little bit of trouble with like regulatory regulatory agency within horse racing for like a positive for something small, but a positive nonetheless. And he was like, "Oh damn, I thought it was the feds following me."
I'm sure there's a lot of people still within horse racing that really just don't want that at all, that whole entire vibe. It is very different, you know, having the camera around all the time and stuff like that, but just to help grow the game, like you look at golf and I kind of compare it to golf in a way, you know, 5, 6 years ago or whatever, it was golf was dead. All these courses were shutting down. And then it was like a turnaround, quick spark. Like once COVID passed, it was like a whole new game. And I feel like
and
that could really happen within horse racing.
and what's crazy too about golf's like renaissance, I feel like YouTube golf has blown up where a guy like Bob Does Sports or like the Grant Horvath guy has like just as many, if not more, followers than like a Scotty Scheffler or Ricky Fowler. So it's like it's really cool from a sense of I think like you said, I think there's some parallels there of like you become the master of your own movie in golf too. If you go out in the course and you're scanning with your boys, trying to break 60 with your friends, like you become the master of a movie there. And it's similar with horse racing too. I just don't know like how I had to think through how horse racing can like recreate the golf COVID boom. There's a boom in horse racing during that because the only game in town gambling wise. So they kept running the races, but the game just didn't capture it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. There's so many angles that they could take with it, but I think just like having guys like you know, starting something new, starting something fresh, and like giving people different options to get into it. I think a
100%.
lot of people don't even know how to get into it, really.
That's like that's the whole ethos behind us is like we just want to be the honor for people to get introduced to horse racing. So that's why like the motto is chasing first, like you have on here. It's like we want to be the liaison for the first time you go to the track. We want to be the person that like introduces you to the game the right way.
Right, exactly. And I think that's so important. Just like, I find that a lot of the guys, like younger guys around our age that are in it, they went with their grandfather to the track when they were young, and that's how they got into it.
Yeah, and that's how I got into it. Brian got into it because his family owned some standard breds. I got into it because like, we would do a family reunion once a year at the racetrack in New Jersey. So it's kind of just like passing that baton for sure. I think like sharing it with your friends is a ton of fun. Like we've had many probably too many a good time at the Kentucky Derby. I think it's a tradition that we're gonna do every single year. I always make the joke that, if you decide to get married on the first Saturday of May, or even die on the first Saturday of May, like I will send a card, but like I will be in Louisville, Kentucky. And like we've got to the point of it though, like, we got like Jake, Allie Beth is like gonna be like 7 months pregnant. And when she announced to us when she was pregnant, I did some math, and 5 minutes after the congrats, my next question was like, "So like you're out for Derby this year?" She's like, "Absolutely not. We're coming." I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go."
Yeah, I would say that's the number one race I'm trying to get to is just go to Kentucky.
You should come, bro. I mean, like, it's not a terrible drive from Jersey. It can't be a terrible drive from Philly. Flights aren't that bad if you fly out. I mean, I don't want to offer up Brian to give you a ride, but he's driving up and back from Nashville
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I mean, I got to get down to Nashville, so maybe that's the
And
Two
it's a
birds, one
lot
stone.
shorter. A lot
Fly
shorter trip than Arkansas.
fly into out of Nashville to see Nashville, go to the Derby. Your liver will need a week to dry out, but
Yeah, that would be perfect.
But yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
too
we
familiar with
really
the
need to
South
get
in
you
general.
out too. Just see the track. See, I think if you met a lot of the behind the scenes or the backside people, that could help you with like design and just hearing their stories and seeing what they do and how much they love it.
Yeah, that always helps with design. I feel like design is very intricate and can get very deep, but you look at something and you may not really understand it just by seeing it, but say like the horse is on the side, right, of the hat, that might come from a whole deep story that, some guy told me this story, blah, 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 and then I came up with that design. So I think that would definitely help. And just being around the atmosphere of it would help.
100%. All right, we're gonna make it happen soon. This is probably a good spot to close the conversation. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
We usually do rapid fire questions to finish, Gav, but they're usually pretty horse racing centric. So I'm trying to like think about how to do rapid fire questions to finish here with like kind of a newbie to horse racing.
Shoot. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could test me. I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
I probably don't know shit.
All right, so we start with like what race do you want to go to the most? And you kind of answer the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, definitely Kentucky Derby.
Let's go with
Think that'd be like the mainstream normal answer for anybody though, is like Kentucky Derby.
maybe I'll like quiz you. Like what's the closest racetrack to Philly?
Jersey. Or
Uh,
one in PA by Harrisburg.
I think Parks is probably the closest one. But I don't
Parks.
know if I want that to
Monmouth
be your
might be a
answer.
little closer.
We'll have to get you to Monmouth for sure. Okay, let's try to think of another question here. If you had to design a piece for anyone within sports in general, not just horse racing, what person would that be?
Oh man, that's a really tough question. I'll be honest. I've never been like I don't consider myself really a fan of any specific person or team, and maybe that's also why I don't get like too starstruck. But wow, one person in sports. I'm trying to think of who's kind of like a fashion icon within sports right now. Maybe maybe make a hat for LeBron James. I don't know.
I like that. I like
I
that.
feel like Cam Newton would rock your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, like right here, like I've made these types of hats a bunch. So yeah, I could definitely see the Cam Newton thing.
All right, last one rapid fire. So like the jockey, we get to design. That's us at the
Whoa.
domain at Keeneland. That's me. That's me and by everyone at Keeneland. So the jockey wears our silk. So they have pants. Sometimes they have pants that have like a sponsor on it, and then like our silks, and we get to decide the hat color. So like, I'll show you ours. So this is ours. If you were to add something, change something, do something to our jockey silks, where do you think your brain goes?
I mean, I love the colors. The colors really pop. They're different, but maybe a different colorway with it reminds me a little bit of like a soccer kit, right? So you could kind of go so many different directions, but that's like the staple for you guys, right?
Yeah, that's our silks. We probably wouldn't change them, but I'm curious like what, because I mean it's pretty. Besides New York, every other state kind of gives you free reign to really put whatever the hell you want on it. So you really could get like super unique there, as well as like there's the jockey's pants. They have like like the design on the side of their legs, usually just like, a logo that they just sell. But it would be really cool and unique for a jockey to have like their own like design for the pants as well, because that would help them get attention, which helps them, book future horses and rides as well.
Yeah, I mean, my process of designing tends to be a lot of research first, a lot of different, throwing certain things together, just mood board type of thing. And I would probably have to see a lot of different, all the different jockeys, outfits and stuff, and kind of get an idea of what would be something really different.
I would say follow our guy Jose Ortiz on Instagram. He gets dressed up sometimes, has some crazy fresh fits, and he's got a big following as well. So I feel like we could definitely do a little collab with him if we really wanted to.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I would love to like maybe we got a little alternate silk.
That'd be sick. There's nothing stopping us from doing it. So we could totally do that.
Yeah, I would love that.
And make a
That'd be
whole video out of it. That'd be dope. All right. Well, this is a fun conversation, Gav. Appreciate you joining us here. And we need to get to do the racetrack ASAP.
yeah, I'll try to get down to Kentucky.